Not everybody should be a founder. It's not an easy job.
$10 billion feels uncomfortable physically in my body. It gives me anxiety.
I think the first 1 to 2 years are the hardest because
in the age of AI with vibe coding, what I feel like I'm the person who has the vision from end to end and the standard. Amber Illig, general partner of the Silicon Valley venture firm, The Council.
like our job isn't to be liked, it's to be respected. So age of AI, like everybody feels like, well, I can just do your job.
I use ChatGPT and I'm like, when I'm spiraling, I talk to them like, be my thought partner.
Is AI conscious and will it become a conscious being? But we're also like the most advanced machines, I think, on the planet because we know how to reproduce. We can do all these things on our own.
You don't get to the same circle because you changed. Yeah. You evolve. Very painful not to be like doing something, not to be successful, not to like... Welcome to Kristina's podcast. Today, our guest is the general partner of the Silicon Valley venture firm, The Council, Amber Illig.
Thank you so much for having me, Kristina. I'm so excited to be here.
And you also created the Council Angels, which is an incredible angel community. I would say most of the angels are women, right?
Yeah.
Which is very unique for Silicon Valley.
Yeah, definitely. Little background on that was about 6 years ago, I had started angel investing after the Snap IPO because I was an employee there pre-IPO. Didn't make life-changing money, but made enough to get started and start angel investing, and looked around me and didn't see many other angel investors around me. And so started asking around and ended up meeting like 10 other women that wanted to start angel investing. And they were at different companies like Slack and Square and Airbnb and Lyft. And so we just started getting together kind of as a grassroots community. For the first 3 years, we had like no website, no marketing. And then everybody kept bringing a friend. And all of a sudden we were like 50 members. And so by the time I was ready to launch a venture firm, we decided to basically like keep the Council Angels as like a co-branded sister company. And it's turned out to be extremely valuable to our venture firm as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to say how valuable it is for me. So you guys invested from SPV into Lexi, and what it did truly for me. So first of all, our branch, I didn't realize that it's going to be all women and only one guy who is a husband of an angel investor. It's amazing. The community is really supportive, and I think it's really helpful for hiring. So I personally reach out to all the angels who are designers because I need a designer. And as a founder who is building, I don't have a lot of time to spend on hiring if it's not the consequential hire right now, like early stage, pre-seed, seed. So that was incredible for me. And because investor already knows me, knows the product, really invested in that, it's a different type of help and conversation. And it really saves the time to build.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what you're feeling there as a founder is something that's been really important to me since day one of the angel community and the venture firm. Even though we don't have like a diversity angle on our venture firm and the deals that we invest in, for the angel community, we've marketed it toward women because we wanted to see more women on cap tables. Like often you'll see a cap table and it's like all men and like nobody got rich off of the IPO that was a woman. And so it kind of just solved a need that was out there and they wanted to come together. But I also realized like when you work with and when you're co-investing or getting advice from, an incredible business leader, whether they're a man or a woman, like people don't want you to just have them as an investor because they're a woman. Like that's not inspiring if a founder comes to me and says, I want you on my cap table because you're a woman. But what is inspiring is I want you on my cap table because of your design experience, your engineering experience, et cetera. And so even in our angel community, everybody has to apply to be a part of it. They go through an interview to join. And like the main thing that we're looking for is, do you have something that's differentiated? If we were to introduce you to a founder in our network, would they be psyched to get to know you and like psyched to be able to add you to their list of people that could help them? So I think that's what you're feeling. It like means a lot that it came across. And we got to see it in real life at that brunch, which was really awesome.
I think you're known to be that operator turned venture investor. And now you attract founders who are also operators and who might be feeling, oh, am I too late? Am I too old? Am I too not 18-year-old YC Stanford dropout?
Yeah.
Untraditional, but those people got years of experience in their respective industry. And it's easier for them to know what the problem, what's the solution, and they might just not have the confidence that they have what it takes because they don't see a lot of founders, successful founders like themselves. And I think that's where you come in. You really represent and embody that untraditional Silicon Valley founder manage.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and there are a lot of funds out there that say that they're operators backing operators, but what we're specifically looking for is people that were willing to join kind of before a company was even successful, help build products, teams, and processes from scratch and actually make that company a success, because they had to be entrepreneurial to even want to do that in the first place, and they can handle a great deal of pain. So they might be great founders in the future. And I think there's a huge premium like placed on second time founders, but I think there's usually a ring of like 10 people around them, and maybe even more as the company grows, that are also like future founder potential and kind of have some of the same learnings as the founder did from that experience. So that's what we look for at the council, and it's called First Builders. But what you touched on is really interesting, because often those people are so suited to be founders, but they're sitting and thinking about it for years. They're like, I've always wanted to found a company. What's it going to be? Do I have what it takes? And they're looking out there at examples like Mark Zuckerberg, and they're like, well, he dropped out of Harvard and he went straight into launching Facebook. I'm already too old. I'm not like 20 years on a mattress in an apartment in San Francisco. And so, yeah, we were just talking about this earlier, but somebody we both know, like I worked with at Cruise, and then she worked at Vercel, and then she decided to leave and found a company. And I remember sitting down with her for lunch when she was just getting started, and she was like, I feel so like when I look at the Y Combinator badge, I don't even know if I want to apply because I feel like I'm too old. I'm like, maybe I'm not the right fit to be a founder or to go through YC.
And 2 years later, $5 billion valuation.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like interesting seeing like these things happen, and it really kind of went off for me that like there could be huge opportunities, and we can also differentiate ourselves as a venture firm by being the place that those people go to first, because we see their potential.
For founders, for those people like, me 3 years ago, when I was thinking about what would be your advice? You're working at a successful company and you feel that you have more in you, more potential than currently realizing.
Yeah. I think the first thing to do is just explore that, like get outside of your bubble and talk to people, because when you're an operator and you're working inside of a growing company or a big company, it's very easy for that to become your entire life. Like you're working for them, 9 to 5, maybe even working after hours.
9 to 5.
Yeah. Big law is like crazy.
Half the day, and then the second half comes.
Yeah. But there's also other people where it's like they clock in, they clock out. They're not feeling challenged, and they have different problems than like what you were experiencing, which was like also bandwidth in general. But just you have to separate yourself from that world, because when you're in it, it's almost like you're in a cult. Like everybody feels like it would be a huge failure to leave because this company is doing so well. And so to leave behind the salary, the stability, everything, the reputation of the firm that I can like put on my resume later. And so there's this fear about leaving. But then when you get outside of the bubble and you meet other people that have done it, it just kind of decreases that fear level. And you can start to see, hey, there is a path for people like me. And you get to learn the language too, because I think a lot of operators, they listen to podcasts here and there, and they hear this like jargon of like startups and VCs. Like they're probably talking about things like vibe coding and stuff that we talk about all the time. But they still kind of feel like outsiders. So like just getting into those circles and hearing the common words and terms and like processes helps, because even just going out to raise a seed round seems really daunting to somebody who's never had to fundraise before in their lives. And all of a sudden they're like, wait, I have to think about how I would put into words my product market fit, my go-to-market plan, my product roadmap, all these different things. And they've talked about all these on a job in a different respect, but like, how do you crystallize that into a pitch that you yourself believe in and somebody else can understand? So I think it's really just like learning the language and getting out there. That's the first step.
Yeah, I agree. I can relate to that. While I was working at Cool at Big Law, Nikhil Viswanathan, actually, brother of Tara. Yeah, and Tara had a successful exit. And when I was in Big Law, I actually didn't have time. I barely could do like brunch.
Yeah, literally.
But if you have time getting out, and what that family helped me. They introduced me to other people. And so now my network is entrepreneurs, and they really brainwash you whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
You start thinking, okay, I'm selling my hours. How am I going to be a billionaire? You just like start thinking about
start doing the math.
You start doing the math and like, okay, my upside is limited. There is no way for me to become a billionaire. I'm like, I have to go. And it took me a year of being surrounded by entrepreneurs and then also seeing that it's possible. So one thing is to like look at the people. And then another thing is to be close to them in proximity,
Yeah.
hear how they think, and like, okay, that's real. This is the mindset that it's needed. So I think network is definitely is step number one. So you start getting to that frequency. And I think your angel community was really helpful. So when I joined, when I just like was starting out, I joined the community and I learned the language. I learned, okay, what it takes, like, how do I begin?
Yeah.
And I observed my growth in 2 years. I remember the first pitch that I just like told everyone about the idea. And last year, and I pitched Lexi and you guys invested, I internally felt a different version.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I could see the difference too. Like, and both pitches were good, but the second one, you could already anticipate the questions that they were going to ask, and you had already had to live out the things that they were asking about. It's not like you're playing a game and trying to, like, trick investors into figuring out what you're building. It's like, no, I'm in this every single day, and I can also pick out the pieces that are important to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. But then also there is a category that I see among our clients that they leave that job and things are not working out because being an entrepreneur and being an employee, even high-performing employee, different.
Yes.
So what are those things? And I even have an example of a person like whom you and I know, and a couple of others that just like something is not fitting. What do you think?
Yeah.
Would be?
So, I will start with, not everybody should be a founder. It's not an easy job. It's all eyes on you all the time, whether it's your investors, your employees, your customers. You're just always in the spotlight, even if you are more behind the scenes than you. But it's a lot of pressure and you don't want to let people down. And so there's constantly this like fire behind you. Like you just have to keep going for a while. And it's just like, throwing the pasta against the wall and seeing what sticks for a long time. And so some people just hate that, and that's totally fine. And so not everybody has to go down the startup founder route, but there are also just challenges that every single founder goes through, even if they're going to be an incredible founder. But it's going to be, I think the first 1 to 2 years are the hardest, because all of a sudden you're transitioning from this world where maybe you were at like a 200-person company or a 80,000-person company before, and you were in cross-functional meetings all day, and your world looks entirely different. You're on meetings all day, and that's how you feel productive. You're like, oh, I'm productive because I got all these people to agree to do this thing today, and I wrote a document and I sent it to somebody else, and then you also, like, every quarter you have your KPIs, and you know whether you met them or not, whether you're on track or not. But as an early stage founder, like before you've actually gotten to that like meaningful revenue that can happen after 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, you're really trying to figure it out. Like, what is most important? What are the top 3 things I should be spending my time on every single day? And that feels really uncomfortable because you often don't get it right, and you would need to redirect, and you need to be the type of person that can constantly re-inject optimism when you fail. And I think like people that are able to reframe and reset really fast will do well, because they can learn, and also people who are self-aware to like understand, hey, I'm not good at this one thing. I need to go ask for help. And don't be afraid to ask for help, even on things that you're self-conscious about not being good at. I've been through that myself, having to get the council off the ground. There are a lot of things I could have asked for help on in the first year that I didn't. And now that I do, I'm like, wow.
What would you ask?
I think like my pitch in general, like, as I was pitching LPs on the council fund, I had people who are already LPs in my fund that I could have asked. They invest in other funds, and I could have said, hey, I'm having trouble resonating with this particular audience. Would you take a look at my pitch and listen to my pitch and let me know what's wrong? But I think I was self-conscious, so I thought I should be just automatically good at it. And now if I hit a rough patch where I'm like, I feel like something's not resonating, I will just call somebody up and, because I have 86 LPs in Fund 1, like 50 or so in Fund 2, and they have varying degrees of experience, whether they're operators or investors or like Fortune 500 CEOs or like, bigger fund of funds that invest in a lot of VCs. So they all have different perspectives, and I can call somebody up and say, hey, this isn't landing. Could you just like listen to this and let me know where you think the weak points are? So I'm just not afraid anymore to show weakness and ask for help. So I think that's a big part of it too.
Love it. Yeah, I also can relate. I think I need to take this advice from you right now. Like this second. But the first 2 years, you don't know what you're doing. I remember sitting at a table and I'm like, there is nothing for me to do. you have to come up with what to do.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And like going from big law where you have more than you can chew and swallow. And here you have to come up and you have to decide. I remember feeling panic. Like it was hard for me to breathe. Like, what am I doing in my life? And one thing that really helped me, the mental mindset, is that, okay, I'm going to go all in on this for 6, 12 months, like whatever my savings. And if it doesn't work out, I'll go and get a job.
Yeah.
Which I always can get.
Right.
So, and yeah, even if I like run out of savings and the maximum, like I rank up my credit card bill.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can recover in 12 months.
Yeah.
And at least I took the bet. And that kind of removed that pressure.
Yeah.
And the same mental model I use for all of the risks with Lexi. I'm like, okay, if it's not a $10 billion outcome, which we're going after, it's going to be tech-enabled law firm, $10 million a year.
Great.
And I'm like, okay, Kristina, like our plan C is $1 million a year.
Not so bad.
Yeah. And it happens to be that those plan B, plan C, you never have to go back.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, like I was lashing on that.
Yeah.
And like, I would even imagine plan B coming through and like, I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because $10 billion feels uncomfortable physically in my body. It gives me anxiety. So sometimes when I'm panicking, I'm just like going back. I'm like this is the $1 million a year.
Yeah.
And when I feel overwhelmed, I'm just like, I'm going to do this one step.
Yes.
This little thing.
Yeah. It's just like anything else. Like you have to put one foot in front of the other and trust that you're like trusting the process that you set for yourself when you put the like vision in place and the goal in place. But if you start looking up, you get like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then you're like, okay, just keep doing what you said you're going to do and time box it.
And then you compare yourself to others. Like I have a
worse.
toxic habit of comparing myself to Elon Musk. Yeah. And like I always feel like I'm a loser. Oh my gosh. I'm seriously, I frequently lay down on this couch and I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm looking at the sky and I'm like, I'm not even launching rockets and they don't come back. Why am I?
That's amazing. I love that that's your like, this is like the peer that I'm targeting. Like this is, if that's who you're measuring yourself against for competition, you're going to be okay.
Succeed at one company.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I was like, it's all right.
One.
Yeah. But he also has like COOs running a lot of these companies. Like Gwen Shotwell at SpaceX like is incredible. And like, so I think, you know, getting to that point where you build like one business and then you can like put another person in place to run it because you've gotten it. Just like what we were talking about earlier today, like doing the hard things first and in one company and in his respect doing it in multiple companies and then like handing it off to somebody that you can really trust. Helps you scale yourself.
Comes back and solves the hardest problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, everyone can run a like, okay, not everyone, but once you have the money, you pay professional people to run.
Yeah.
Figuring out hard things, that's hard.
Yeah, totally.
And I actually wanted to ask you advice on this because this is what I'm currently a little bit struggling with. So first 2 years, figured out everything is working, but I'm still in the stage of doing things myself. And I got a little bit like traumatized, I would say, with when I'm on something, I get it done. No matter who dies in the process, I get it done. And with the team, sometimes I feel like if I don't do it myself, it's not going to your way well.
Yeah.
And especially with in the age of AI with vibe coding, what I feel like I'm the person who has the vision from end to end and the standards.
Yeah.
And when, for example, you delegate to an engineer, they don't know, like this morning I was so pissed. Like, they don't know what beautiful looks like. They don't know what delightful looks like. They just build a button. I'm like, can you look around around this button? And is it normal? And what would be your advice in my shoes?
I think it's very normal for entrepreneurs to experience this because you did have to do everything by yourself until you could hire people. And you have a really, really high bar for quality because it's your baby. Like you're putting this out there in the world. You want to build a $10 billion company. You're like, it's not going to get there if we're just building what we've seen other people build and, you know, just putting something out there to do it. And so I think it's this constant tension between like perfectionism and quality versus getting things done so that you can get feedback and start iterating on it. And so while I think it's important to get something out there and to know whether people are paying for it or not and if they even like your product, I do think that founders have to kind of go into that founder mode. That term like came out like a year or two ago, but I think it kind of resonates for stuff like this, where like you have to have the willingness to go in there and say, hey guys, this is actually not the way that I want it done. Here's what good looks like. And I think it requires a great deal of patience, because some of the best founders out there, like their job is just constantly educating other people. And that can get annoying. Like after a while, like you're constantly telling employees, this is how I want things to be, telling investors, this is what we're building, this is why it works, this is how our industry works. And so you're like repeating, it's a lot of repetition all the time. So I think being willing to do that, and just pulling from my experience, like when I worked at Cruise, one of the things I really respected about Kyle Vogt when he was the CEO was just every quarter. I mean, I was there for like 3.5 years, and there were so many different like, turns in the company's history while I was there. And I left before all the drama when they shut down and stuff, but I thought he did a great job while he was in place, as did Dan Ammon. But he would, every quarter we'd have to make another big bet. It would be like, something is not working and we need to break past this technological milestone. And he would have to get the whole company on board. Like people were so stuck in their like little bubbles, like I want to be on my team, this is my manager, this is my thing, this is how we do things, this is our goal this year or this quarter. And he would just come out and be like, actually all of that is going away, and we're going to reset, and we're going to like do things this way. We're changing our goal this quarter because this other thing is way more important now. And just seeing like the whole company like follow his leadership on that. Yeah, and he was previously a co-founder of Twitch too, so like he knows how to build really great companies, and it was just cool to see that in action. And I realized like even at that level, leading a company of like over 2,000 people, because I saw it from like 200 plus or 400 plus, like you still have to do all that education, and people get mad at you, and people are like, why are you doing this? And then you have to explain and explain and explain. So I think it you have to protect yourself in some ways and be like, am I being too much of a perfectionist? But also people respect that. If you have a high bar for quality and you know what needs to be done in your own company, people listen to you. And I think like our job isn't to be liked, it's to be respected. So
yeah. Because of AI, explaining things to AI is much easier than explaining things to a human.
Yeah.
Because it just does the job. So I have a tendency, I'm going to do it myself. Because now I use, like, for example, Whisper. I press this button and it types, and I press and it writes codes.
That's awesome.
Why would I explain something 3 times to an engineer when I can press this button and like, say it, and you're the world's best software engineer at the end? Boom. And then when there's like an edge case, I took a screenshot, like fix it. If it doesn't fix, I took a screenshot and engineers fix it. I like maybe last year, not possible. Maybe 6 months ago, not possible. But now,
it's getting really
why do I need to explain to an engineer who's not a lawyer, not a founder, what a legal product for a founder should look like? We're going to spend so much time on the back and forth. But AI has a good understanding of all those things.
Yeah. It's challenging. Like I think the value that engineers can add right now is thinking through like long-term architecture, thinking through technical debt and how to avoid that, and like building things out in a way, but they can't be in charge of the vision. Like you, especially because I think every founder has sort of a super skill as going into the founder role. Some are incredible at sales because they used to be like running a sales org before they were a founder. For you, it's like you've worked in big law. You know what your customer's perspective is perfectly. So you're like the product manager in addition to being the CEO. And I assume you're probably going to stay in that role for a while, just because like it's so important to you, and you know that. And I've seen that with other legal tech founders who came from legal. But also like knowing when you can hand it off to them and when you can start like allow them to start to see the patterns in your feedback, and like over time you develop that trust, and you're like, okay, they now know what my vision is. I've learned how to disseminate that down, to them so that they can build what I'm asking. But like starting to trust them to like take on more like decisions themselves, it's going to take time. Like it's hard, but it's challenging now in this age of AI. Like everybody feels like, well, I can just do your job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like and I actually said they delivered something. I'm like, I'm lost on this page.
Yeah.
Couldn't you take a screenshot and couldn't you type? Make it user friendly.
Yeah.
So user does use their brain.
Yeah.
I think you can't, as a software engineer, use an excuse.
Right.
I'm not a designer.
Yeah, you can ask for feedback.
Make user not use their brain. Enter.
Yes, exactly.
Come up with the plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think employees everywhere, like the employees that are doing well, like, and gonna get promotions and do really well in this age of AI are the ones that are like using AI as like their super toolkit, because they're gonna get done like 10x the work. They're gonna have to go ask their manager for help less times, but also like recognizing that we're all going through this together, and some people are just still building that muscle memory right now. So, I think it's good to like question people, like, why didn't you go and ask? But also like then you can see, do they keep doing that going forward? So
No, that's actually true because I've been vibe coding just for like a month.
yeah.
And I'm already impatient. But I remember myself when I was just starting out, I didn't know. I didn't know the
Yeah.
capabilities.
Yeah.
So someone was patient. I paid them to be patient with me.
Yeah. Well, and now you can think about like, how would I create a boot camp for people that I onboarded to this company, or like set principles that everybody needs to abide by? Like in order to join Lexi, um, you know, these items 1 through 10 have to be true about every single employee at Lexi. Like we leverage technology to the nth degree in everything that we do. We operationalize everything. I know you're doing a lot of this already.
We have operating principles. I share
They're just like,
and I'm updating.
yeah.
Yeah. And whenever like a hard feedback comes, I actually update the operating principles.
That's awesome.
And I something that you said, you kind of like accepting who you are, your weaknesses and strengths. I feel like I'm going through the same thing. I'm very direct and I have high bar. And I used to be like, nice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but then a person will have a shock after 3 months when something is on the line. They're like, oh, she's not nice. I'm like, let me show you right away. Like my approach to things, because it's not personal. When I say something is ugly, I'm not saying you are ugly. I'm saying like, this is ugly, objectively. And I'm learning to give more actionable feedback instead of saying like it's unusable.
Yes.
I'm like, here are the things that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And then person who might not have my vision, like, okay, remove this, remove that. And after like 10 items, it might be usable.
Yeah. This is a really, really good topic. Like, I was actually just chatting with another founder in our portfolio about it, but because they've experienced some attrition recently and people complaining about like getting the direct feedback. And I think there are like a few takeaways. Some people cannot handle like the hyper growth. Everything is on the line. Like we are closing customers, we're customer facing. It's really, really important that we get things right. That's one thing. But assuming like they're going to be fine and they are a fit for the company, and it's just like figuring out how the culture is going to mesh with you. I think like number one, you can look at what can I learn from the experience, which is what you're already doing. Like how can I then funnel this back into the principles so everybody knows up front, this is what we can expect. But then also maybe even letting them know personally if they're going to be working directly with you, just saying, hey, here's my communication style. I just want you to know that anything customer facing is really important to me. And I might just be super direct if I don't like something, but it's not personal. So letting them know like before it happens or before it is personal, because now you know this about yourself. But
then don't try to change that. Yeah. I accept I'm willing to improve. To get the best out.
But you can't stop because it's also your job. Like, I mean, some of the companies that have had this problem are the fastest growing companies in our portfolio. And it is because the founders have such a high bar. But it doesn't mean that you could just be like, well, whatever, they're not a fit, and like not take any personal learnings for yourself. But it does mean that like you care, and you should care like more than anyone else,
I do care. And I think authenticity, that's something that I also got the advice from one of the friends. He's like, the company will be basically you. So I'm very conscious about that. I don't want everyone to be like super direct, inconsiderate, but I want everyone to be direct. So we don't waste time working.
It's a time saver. And actually, this reminds me a little bit of the Apple culture, which at times was a bit toxic. I'll give it that. But there was something about, I remember after I interviewed there and got the job, I was interviewing other candidates there, and somebody else on the hiring panel said, there's just something about the people that that are going to be a hit or like a fit here. They're just snappy. Like, if you ask them something, they've got the answer. They're like thinking about it, like, they've got a lot going on, and they want to get things done fast. They want to be efficient. And that was a big thing there. Like, and you saw it everywhere throughout our work. Like there was a high bar for, good work. And then there was also just a lot of like very quick communication to the point where we just had acronyms for everything. And you'd just get an email from somebody with like 5 bullet points, and it would be like DDX23Y please fix. You know, it would just be like, what was that? But we all knew the language because we're just like, we have no time for any like little niceties of this sentence right here. So it's definitely like, it's a thing. And not every company has that culture, but like as a founder, you can figure out, how do I make this super skill of mine like positive ad for our company versus like a culture killer. You just have to figure out like almost the alter ego version of it. Like, so it's not a negative, it's a positive.
I think I make fun, like laughing.
Yeah.
And I think it also like I do it in content and I do it with engineers. When something sucks, like I am mad, legitimately mad. But but then I kind of come off and like I make fun of that.
Yeah.
And it's also authentic
Yeah.
to me, like being able to laugh. That's yourself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like life is a game, right? And it's a long-term game with long-term people. So when I'm mad at something, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
But we have to like communicate. And I even feel that when you communicate directly and you express the emotion, they know, oh, she's mad. Like, and it registers. This is important. Like, don't do this again, instead of, like being nice. So it kind of like shortens the feedback loop and iterations, in my opinion. Yeah. And also it doesn't allow the build up. So if I'm mad today, I might like feel, okay, do I want to communicate? But tomorrow, if I'm still feeling it, I communicate. Then I'm not waiting for feedback cycles. They know exactly what to expect, where they stand essentially. And I think it's really important. And I tie it to compensation and everything.
By the way, I think this is something I have to learn from you, because I have the opposite problem. I'm not direct enough, and I've been working on this my entire career. So I'm like aware of it, always working on it, but it's more painful. It like sucks energy out of me to have to give feedback and be direct if something's going wrong. I think because I'm like so connected to other people's emotions and I'm very empathetic.
I'm empath this way.
And so I think about, how is this going to impact them? And it's not that I won't give the feedback. It's just that it's time consuming for me, because I think about it for a while. So it's like taking up rent in my brain. And then I have to like almost sit down and write it. If it's like a big thing that really, frustrated me, I have to almost organize my thoughts so that I won't lash out at them. And that's not always good either, because it is a time waster if you can't just be like, hey, that thing that just happened right there, that wasn't great. Here's how we could do it better in the future. And I think your team wants that. Like I remember actually Tara, who we both know, was saying like feedback is a gift. I've seen her say that a lot on podcasts. Like, and it's like something nice that you're doing for somebody else so that they're not in the dark wondering what good looks like and if they're doing a good job. And if you're always telling them, yes, you're doing a good job, and then all of a sudden they get fired, it's a shock, So like, tell people if something's off track so they can actually do something about it.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT, and I'm like, when I'm spiraling, I talk to them like, be my thought partner, think through from first principles. You're the world's best coach. Reflect to me the patterns, what I'm not seeing, what I'm missing. And after like 20 minutes of that, okay, now like prepare what I'm gonna send. Yeah. And I also met like the people management for me, it's energy in and out. Investing up front, yes, but after a month, I spend more energy thinking about them, and like the feedback is just not a good fit, because I'm carrying myself, the company, and them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You can't do that. There's just not enough hours in the day. So
and there is no energy. And I recently also started just internally kind of manifesting, that I should be feeling that other people lift up, not me being a horse who carries a lot of people. And
it should feel like a weight was just taken off your back when somebody comes in and they're just like crushing it in their role,
But if you're used to not being supported, you almost feel like, oh, it's okay that I'm carrying 5 people.
Yes, exactly. You think that's normal, and it's not.
Exactly.
I had to go
So I started embodying that. I'm like imagining that, because I've had successful examples. I've had success, not success. And I'm just like, it's almost like in a relationship, like what toxic, what healthy feels like. You have to embody that. So whenever toxicity comes, you're like, no, that's like not a good fit.
I think this is directly related with founder confidence improving over time as they run the company. Because at first you have this feeling like, wow, anyone who would join my company is doing me a favor, because this is like, we're really early right now. And then as you start having little wins, you're like, okay, I'm pretty good at this. I'm getting good. And then like people keep coming in and like you're just, feeling better about it and like you're able to, be more balanced in your approach. So, yeah.
Yeah. Cheers to being yourself and authentic and just owning that.
Yes. Cheers to that. Agreed. Yeah. Oh, I guess I should actually drink it.
You don't have to. You can do whatever you want.
I know I'm a matcha fiend if you don't know. So
I am a matcha person. We run out of matcha. I have to go to Japan again.
I just ordered this one from Japan. I'll send you a website because you can get some really good ones. Yeah.
Because honestly, when I drink coffee, my poor team,
Yeah.
I'm already very high pace and impatient. But when I drink coffee, it's just like on a different level.
I know.
It's like half a second you didn't
Agreed. That's exactly why I drink matcha because I think it has L-theanine in it too. So it just like kind of calms you down. And I'm like, any little time that I can add to that fuse would be great. Even a millisecond would be great. So yeah.
That's why, I literally run out, but it's usually matcha.
Yeah.
And like we talked about energy, now my energy is more stable, but coffee, alcohol gives a spike. I learned how to embody that, but it's still violent energy. Yeah.
But yeah, that said, that could be part of your super skills. You're just a very energetic person and it's all authentic and you're not like faking it at all. So it's that's probably also allowing you
conscious.
Yeah.
How it lands. So for example, right now, my new assistant, her dad had a heart attack and the whole thing. And although we have all the things and I'm flying and the podcast and all of that, but I remember how in Big Law, I lost my dad and how some partners, they didn't ask me whether I want to work now, good partner.
You remember that.
You're not working.
Right.
Period. They don't give me to decide.
Yeah.
And one partner, he was asking me and I was confident, yeah, I'm going to be working. But no, I should not be working. I should not be asked. And I translate that as well to the team. I feel like when you're going through something, you learn how it felt on the receiving end.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why sometimes I feel okay, maybe I should be a little more patient and less direct because I'm right, but I should massage how I give it to them because there are people who are peers. You can punch them and it's the dance. Yeah. And there are people who are not peers and you punch them. It's not going to be a tango.
Right.
Knock someone up.
Yeah.
So I've been aware of your power, especially when you are you pay their salary.
Yes.
They could be scared.
Right. That's also a good point too. Sometimes I forget that there is an inherent power dynamic. One time I asked a team member, I was like, hey, I need, this is an advisor that we work with. I asked for a draft of something and they were like, when do you need it by? And I was like, oh, I could be opportunistic here. I was like, well, actually end of day today. And then I was like, and then they were like, okay, well, I have these other things going on. I was like, oh, well, no worries. If you can't get it done by end of today, I'll just do it. And this was all over Slack. So that's how I thought it was a nice conversation, but she ended up getting really upset because she was like, hey, I feel like you don't appreciate me. I do all these other things. I haven't heard thank you in a while. And yeah, there was something about the way that I worded it. She interpreted my Slack differently that well, if you can't do it by end of day, then I'll just do it myself. But for me, I was like, oh, well, I was going to do this myself anyways, but I thought to ask you if in case you could do it soon. So I just realized I need to sometimes add more context. When, especially in written communications where people can't read your energy and they're thinking oh, she's annoyed with me, but you're not then I realized, oh, she wouldn't be saying this if we were peers. It's because I'm somebody she can reports to that she's feeling oh my God, I was put on the spot and I'm being I'm in trouble or something, which she totally wasn't. So yeah.
That's very true. I do get feedback that people try not to read my emails as first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But when we see you and you smile and you joke.
Right. They realize this is a person. This is a human. They do care. Yeah.
Exactly. And I also communicate that I respect when you have boundaries because I'm aware if you don't have boundaries, you're not going to be excellent.
Yes.
Your work is going to suck. And I communicate you can push back, but whatever you deliver has to be excellent.
Yeah.
Then you can buy the right to say I can do this, but not that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So your thing is like, what is it outside of this life? You're a venture investor, I'm a founder, your mom, wife, and like, what are we doing here? Like, exactly. Like, why are we here? Like,
I mean, it's funny because I don't do drugs
yeah.
either, but like I have a lot of high thoughts. It's like
I feel like I am high without
Sudden-
getting.
yeah. So like, you know, a lot of people like they'll get high, they'll think about like, do aliens exist? Blah blah blah. I'm like, no.
I'm like, this is my Monday 12 p.m. conversation with myself.
Yeah. I just like to explore like just totally out there concepts and think about like what do I think that the probability is that this is true or not. And to your point about like what are we doing here? I do often think about this is like one of my high thoughts is that like I do often think about like if an alien were to come to Earth right now and be like, these people are sitting around in apartments recording podcasts for tech companies. And they built this like bridge and they're like doing all these cute little things. Like, what is this? Why are all these people driving all these cars around to go to their 9 to 5 jobs? Like, I just think about how silly our world might look to like an outsider. And I start to question like, you know, the way that we are and like why we are the way we are. And like, it's not like I have any answers. And I'm not even like an alien believer necessarily. Like I think a lot of studies point to there has been no evidence that aliens are out there, but I just like to look through that lens and framework of like, who are we as humans? Why are we here? Are the things that we're doing actually purposeful
Yeah.
right now? You know?
Yeah. Man's in search of meaning.
Yeah. And like even in the course of history too, like we had the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, like all these big like breakthrough moments. We're sitting in one right now in AI. And it's just thinking about like how is that going to change the world? And like are people going to look back on us as like these tiny little farmers that like, you know, these little worker bees that like made it happen so that they could be doing whatever in the future. So that's like my, you know, secret hobby is just like thinking about these things, reading about these things.
I actually was thinking about AI in that sense that even there is, some people think this is the new form of consciousness. And some people I know, like Google co-founder, for example, he doesn't care which form survives. Like this is the new, I'm welcoming that.
Yeah.
And I sometimes think about it as well, not from, I'm not scared of it at all, but it's definitely when people say, oh, AI is just, it learns what it knows. I'm like, but what do you do? Like you're born, you have just consciousness, which probably you had before you were born. You just like, I am. You have the presence, and then you've been loaded as a kid with information. The way I felt myself since I remember myself like 3 years old, it's the same presence. I have not changed, but I got uploaded a bunch of information, how to be a lawyer, a founder, how to like speak language. Isn't it the same with AI? It just like is, and then it has all of this data and it's trained on the data. Do this, don't do this. If you do this, then it's going to be that. And all of this volatility, like as a kid, like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, maybe I remember what I was going to say on this one, but just so is AI conscious and will it become a conscious being? Like for me, I think that humans have souls. I don't know why they have souls. And I think, you know, it's not to say that other organisms can't have souls, but that is just something that sort of like grounds me where I'm just like, when I talk to a human, it's different than like, you know, talking to a plant or talking to something else that has figured out how to be.
But what about a dog?
Years. Dogs, for sure. I think they might be conscious. I mean, there's like, there are all these studies too. I was just listening to a podcast. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was about like the mirror theory. Like part of consciousness is being able to recognize yourself and be like, I am an individual in this body. And there's some other layers to it too, but some animals have that, some might not. So anyways, I think it's just like fascinating to think about. But with AI, this is like a totally crazy thought too. It's like our bodies are machines. And I didn't fully think about this until actually my dad had a heart attack. And he is fine for anybody listening, but he had a very scary heart attack called like a widowmaker, where I think like 90% of your main ventricle gets blocked. And he, you know, we almost lost him. And part of the reason, so he was like technically dead for 4 minutes. And they like shocked him back to life. And it was the first time that I really thought about the fact that like we have electrical current running through our bodies, and it can just be like jumped like a car. Like that is crazy. That's like, we're machines, but we're also like the most advanced machines, I think, on the planet because we know how to reproduce. We can do all these things on our own. And so it makes me sort of think about like, you know, and I'm not saying that this is true or that I even believe it, but like, I started to wonder, like, there could be a world where like we already discovered AI, and AI became so advanced and then uploaded itself into an advanced human body, and now here we are developing AI again, and we're just like in this like circle. I started thinking about that because I was watching like a video with Elon Musk, and he was talking about how he thinks we're all in a simulation, and I was like, if that simulation theory is true, that's my version of the simulation theory. It's just like we're in this endless loop where we keep developing the technology that creates the like advanced machine or whatever. But I think it's like, it's just an interesting idea to explore.
Yeah, and I think it also on the spirituality level that the soul's goal is evolution, and the way you evolve is by reflecting. You reflect it back and you correct the prompts. I'm so glad. Thank you so much. And I really love this conversation. Let's see how people resonate. Maybe we can have like a separate conversation about that. But as a kid, I've always asked, what is the point of it? And I think the most important thing is to like, how does it make you feel? Optimistic or pessimistic? When I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of data and I didn't like grow up in a happy family. So for me, what is the meaning of that? It would make me depressed. And it would my search for the answer was first power, money. And like once you get those, like, this is not an answer. Like, so there must be something else to that. And I think I'm right now as close as I've ever been in terms of like that feeling that this is it for me. And I think authenticity and living out like inside out, this is as close as I got to it. Money, prestige, power, definitely no. These are just the tools and it's like things that come, but it's definitely not the answer. But living from the inside out and just like I am, that does feel very, very aligned.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. It's exciting. I don't know. And it's nice to like look at, even though you felt like maybe there was no meaning earlier on or the meaning made you depressed, like seeing how you took that and created it into your own hero's journey is really, really inspirational and just shows how aligned you are. So,
oh, thank you so much. It's truly a hero's journey. A year ago, we were like saying, like, seize your legal partner on your hero's journey. Because at the end of the day, it's the founder's journey of first doubting yourself probably, then going after it no matter what, then discovering, failing, then succeeding, then rediscovering again. And it is a circle in that sense, but I think it's a spiral in a way that you don't get to the same circle because you changed. You evolve. And yesterday when I was giving feedback to our engineers for automating the name search for Startup Launch Package 6 months ago. AI couldn't do this job. Last night, I'm like, it did it. It did it. It learned. And I'm like, wow. This is incredible.
It's crazy how fast things are happening too.
So everything is evolving. Thank you so much, Amber, for coming, and thank you for being my friend and supporter. Like for all of the founders, I will always recommend you and community from the bottom of my heart. I think in the beginning, for any founder, like that support, like you support me, and that is very important, like as a person, not because I could return your fund. Although it has to be an alignment, like we have to be aligned that I am moving towards the same goal, because it's not charity. You're a founder as me, you have to return money to your LPs, but this alignment on a human level, that you care about me and you truly support and I trust you. Like we've tested times when you like would give me information other people wouldn't. Like I really trust you and I'm really grateful for support, and I'm excited about this alliance that we're building. I want to see more and more women very successful, and I love men, obviously. I think we need to see more powerful women. That way the new subconscious thing would be like, oh, of course she's gonna be a billionaire. Like why the hell not?
And I think we know some that might be on the way, and definitely.
Yes. And our client is on the way. Is
Yes,
definitely.
exactly. Yeah. So, and thank you for having me be on a part of your Lexi journey. It's a huge honor. And honestly, it's just been like, I remember when we first met, I think you were on your way to Brazil to sort of like literally, I think you were leaving like that week. And you talk about that trip as like a big sort of like turning point for you as you were transitioning into this role. And it's just incredible to see like how many different chapters you've gone through since then, and just literally like shedding new skin and becoming like a new, I shouldn't say like beast, but like a monster, like
Monster.
piece. And like, you know, it's just, you have to keep outgrowing yourself. Like, and it's just awesome to see that happening, and constantly up leveling as you're building. So
Thank you. And in Brazil, that's where that spiritual journey happened. Like my energy awakening, like the heart opening physically, not just like, words, without any psychedelics, without any drugs. It happened in Brazil when I just stayed by myself in a house by the water with no people, no social media, no computer for 4 days. When you just stayed, was like on the couch, I was laying down because I had nothing to do.
wow.
And I think that being present,
Yeah.
that's truly like that was the transformation. And I remember it was very painful not to be like doing something, not to be successful, not to like blah blah blah. It felt like death.
Yeah.
Like you're like, yeah, you felt like you're dying. And I remember going through that, but after the death there's the new beginning.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome to see, and it's just incredible to see like your dreams manifesting into Lexi and everything building. So
Yeah, manifesting that.
and so many successful people like wanting to be in your presence and wanting to be part of it is really cool. So
Oh,
thank you so much for having me.
you. Yes. Ooh, we did it.